Okay, so I just wanted to say that I'm very happy to be here, and I really appreciate that you requested me to teach the 7-point mind training. This is one of my favorite texts, and even though we only have 2 sessions together, we'll go through it very quickly to give people just a taste of it. In our Sravasti Abbey Friends Education Program, Module 12 is about this text. And also, if you go to my website, thubtenchodron.org, I've taught this text and also Mind Training Light Rays of the Sun, which is another version of the 7-point mind training. And those are on the website, so you're welcome to listen to it. Before we do the prayers, I just want to say that this was one of the when I first started the Dharma, it was with Lam Rim, but then very soon afterwards, my teachers taught us mind training texts, and which is basically another way of expressing Lam Rim. The same topics are in the mind training as in the Lam Rim, just in a different sequence. And then the mind training has some more very, very explicit do's and don'ts, which I think are incredibly helpful to spell out things to look for in our minds and in our practices. So, the chance to kind of go through this text again is always something very delightful. You know, it. One thing I really like about the mind training teachings is that they are so direct. Yeah, and you can't pull any punches. They say this, and you can't say yes, but, or I don't feel like it, or why. Um, yeah, because it's so clear that even though our self-centeredness and our ignorance try and find some way around it, it becomes very difficult, you know. And fortunately, because that means that we have to practice, yeah. And the more you practice what's taught in this text, the happier your mind is, yeah. And so then you don't depend so much on external circumstances to be happy, but you can make your own mind happy, even in difficult situations. Yeah. Okay, so let's visualize the Buddhas surrounded by all the other Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, and we're going to take refuge in them and imagine all sentient beings around us as far as the eye can see. And remember that we're going to study and explore this incredible text so that we can develop the impartial love and impartial compassion for others that will then motivate us to generate bodhicitta, which itself motivates us to attain full awakening for the benefit of all beings. So let's generate our motivation. So think of all the different activities that human beings on this planet are engaged in at this moment. Some people sleeping, some people working, some people fighting wars, some people dying, some people working in hospitals, some people worried about their children or worried about their parents or their pets. Just think of the incredible diversity of human experiences right now. And what is common among all these experiences of human beings as well as animals and insects is everybody simply wants to be happy and to be free of pain. So feel that that's the real common thread between people who are friends, enemies, and strangers, and also between others and ourselves. We're all equal in that way. And yet, due to the ripening of some virtuous karma, uh, there's a small group of us right now that are able to study the 7-point mind training, which holds all the keys to attain happiness and avoid pain. So, how incredibly fortunate we are. So, let's not waste this fortune. And also, let's not have a feeling of superiority because we have this opportunity while others don't at this very moment, but instead realize that by having this fortune, we have a responsibility towards other living beings. We have the fortune to learn these teachings and put them into practice. Then we need to share them with others. And even if we aren't able to share them with others right now, maybe our practice isn't strong enough, we need to be motivated by putting what we learn into practice so that it will, in the long term, be of great benefit to all other living beings. And with that kind of intention, generate the bodhicitta aspiring for full awakening. So we will be more adept at dealing with our own mind and being of service to others. And so may that be our motivation for sharing the Buddha's teachings today. Okay, so this is a text by Geshe Chekawa, who is one of the Kadampa Geshes. So in the second wave of teachings going to Tibet, it was Lama Tisha who brought them. And Geshe Chekawa was one of the followers of that tradition. And so he and some other, masters became what we call the Kadampa Geshes, who really made their main practice this thought training and were incredibly, what I really admire about them is how honest they were with themselves, not making excuses, not rationalizing, and so on. Okay, So there's 7 points. Yeah, we'll go through them one by one in a brief way, and then sometime in the future, maybe if there's more time, we can go through it again in a more leisurely way, strolling through the text instead of rushing through. Okay, so the first point is the preliminaries. And what the text says is first train in the preliminary practices. So these are practices in all the Tibetan traditions that are taught, sometimes under different names, but they're the the precious human life, yeah, impermanence and death. The third one is karma and its effects, and the fourth is the faults of samsara. And so these four together are to give us the wish to practice and set us going in the right direction, especially generating renunciation of samsara, which is kind of one of the first things that, uh, can get us, give us some energy to do something, okay, instead of just going through our life blaming others and complaining. Okay, so precious human life, I think some of you have had teachings on that before, probably, but it talks about how we're free from disadvantageous situations, being born in unfortunate realms, being born even as a human being in a place where there's no teachings, so that even if you have a very strong spiritual quest and yearning, there's nobody who can teach you, nobody who can help you. Or even born in a country where there is Dharma, having mental and physical impediments that make it difficult to learn the teachings or to practice them. Or being born in a time when the Buddha hasn't uh, appeared, so there's not even any teachings on the planet. Okay, so uh, so we're free of all those situations, and we, uh, have met the Dharma. We are healthy, at least at this moment, and so take care of our health. That's important in order to be able to continue to practice. So learn how to pace ourselves, learn how to be a balanced person, um, and remember our great fortune and what we can do with it. Because I think most people want to lead, a, a meaningful life, and especially when you're young. I think young people are saying very strongly, "What's the meaning of my life?" Yeah, but then all the pleasures of life come by, and besides, you have to get uh, you know, one education after another education in different subjects and many degrees, and then you have to get a job, and then you have to make a lot of money to support your family and your kids. And then, kind of you're aging along that whole line, and you just get caught up with whatever life puts in your face, and with no opportunity to kind of stand back and think about, what's the meaning of my life, and what am I doing, and what's my human potential about. So just to have that opportunity that we have now with a precious human life is incredibly rare, and very fortunate. We can see, that's why I asked you at the beginning how many people have the opportunity to spend the morning studying this text today. Not so many. There's 8 billion human beings and on this planet, and just a handful of us. So to really appreciate our life, yeah. And then, go on to think about impermanence and death, that our life is constantly changing. And as soon as we're born, we are in the process of aging. So, we categorize people as those are young people. Actually, they're aging people. Yeah, it's just you think that you're young for a while, but in fact, you're in the process of aging from the time you're conceived in your mother's womb. And from that time, too, you're in the process of going towards death. And that's just the situation that we're in, because our body is changing moment by moment. Our mind is changing moment by moment. Um, there's no way to stop this change. Yeah. And anyway, if we could stop impermanence, which we can't, um, then that would mean that there would be no opportunity to improve, and we would be stuck with everything the way they are. In fact, we wouldn't be able to do anything more if we were permanent except sit there, because permanent things do not change from moment to moment. So yes, impermanence has its disadvantages. Yeah, it brings aging and death, but it also has its benefit in that it gives us the opportunity to learn and to change and to be a benefit. Yeah. So, but it's important to remember that things are changing all the time and not just take our present situation for granted. Yeah. Then the third topic under the preliminaries is karma and its effects. So, karma simply means actions, especially actions of our body, speech, and mind. They leave residual energy, what we call karmic seeds, on our mind stream. And then when those karmic seeds ripen, they influence where we're reborn, what happens in this life, what kind of habitual personality traits we have, what we experience in our life. And so that's really a call to be aware that right now, by our present actions, we are creating the cause for our future. Yeah? And so our future is our responsibility. And the whole idea of karma, our actions ripening into our experiences, means that we are responsible for our experiences. And that means that we can't blame the world for our misery, and we can't blame other people for our problems. It also means, yeah, that external things are not going to be the cause of our happiness either. Yeah, because they're impermanent, they disappear, and our karma will influence whether we come across those things or not. Yeah, that make us happy or make us miserable. But the real thing that causes our happiness and misery is our own karma. Okay? So karma is just a system of cause and effect. Physics has a system of cause and effect, so does biology, psychology, chemistry. You know, Even ordinary people, we run our lives based on the idea that if we do certain things, they will bring certain effects. And if we abandon other things, then we'll get other effects, you know. So the thing about karma is it's a system of cause and effect that is based on our ethical conduct. Okay, so it's not an external cause and effect; it's an internal one. What am I thinking? What am I saying to other people? What am I doing? What's my motivation for everything I do in my life? Yeah, because all those actions of body, speech, and mind are leaving, seeds in our mind that when the cooperative external conditions come together, then they ripen. Yeah. And so this is a very important point to doing Buddhist practice, that our happiness and our misery come from our own mind, and especially from our own actions. Yeah. And this is totally the opposite to how we usually think. Yeah. Because we usually think happiness and suffering come from outside. Yeah. So what causes happiness? Well, money and lots of possessions and a second house and a canoe. No, let's have a yacht. That's better. Yeah. And, you know, the right kind of shoes and everything that's in style and the friends who are important people, because if I hang around with important people, that means I'm somebody important. So we go searching for all these things with a very self-centered motivation, thinking that they will make us happy. Yeah. And of course, we need the latest widgets. And, your iPhone number 135. Um, yeah, because they're getting, new models are coming out, and you don't want an old model, and you want your own car and not some cheap VW Bug like we had when I was a kid, but we want nice cars and we think all that's going to make us happy, and especially to fall in love, which Buddhism translates as fall into attachment. Yeah, where you exaggerate the good qualities of someone, and they're just marvelous. Yeah, finally, the right person forever after. Yeah, everybody says forever after. Yeah, how many people really make it to ever after? How many people even make it to the end of their lives together? Huh? Okay. Um, and then, so that, this makes us very aware, or should make us aware of what is going on in our mind, how we communicate with others, and how we act, our physical actions. Yeah. And because the law of karma works, that happy results comes from virtuous actions, never from non-virtue, and suffering comes from non-virtuous actions, never from virtue. So somebody's going to say, but, this guy robbed a bank, that's non-virtuous, but they're so happy afterwards. Yeah. So, what are you talking about? Or somebody lies and cheats and they still have important positions and are famous. So, isn't that happiness? Doesn't non-virtue bring happiness? No. Whatever happiness they're experiencing now is a karmic result of past previous virtuous actions. And the non-virtuous actions that they're doing now to get what they want are planting the seeds for misery in the future. Yeah, so don't be deceived by appearances of happiness, because you have to see what kind of karma somebody is generating. In the same way in our own lives, instead of putting everything outside. I need this, I have to have this, everybody has it, I've got to have it too. No, I don't need it, but I have a child, and everybody in my child's kindergarten class has a certain toy, and so I have to get it for my children too. Yeah, and uh, and then your life is just running around chasing after happiness. But the reality of the situation is, the more possessions you have, yeah, the more problems you have. Okay, as soon as you have a car, welcome to car trouble hell. As soon as you have a computer or a phone, welcome to digital hell. Yeah? Because these things break, they malfunction, and so on. Okay, so we have to really step back and really discern what is happiness and what is misery. Similarly, so eager to find the perfect person in the perfect relationship. So what do? Yeah, we act like phony balonies, yeah, to try and get other people to like us. In fact, we try and be who we think those people think we should be. Because if we can be what they want us to be, then they will like us, then I will be happy. So, I cover up what I don't want other people to know. I just exaggerate a few good qualities so people think I'm so wonderful. Yeah. And then inside, I feel lonely because I'm not really communicating with other people. I'm doing a stage act, yeah, to try and convince other people that I'm somebody who I'm not. Yeah. And that doesn't lead to happiness in the long term. Yeah. So, yeah, so that's a little bit about karma. Yeah, the fourth preliminary is thinking about the disadvantages of cyclic existence. Okay, so just by the definition of what cyclic existence is, that tells us its disadvantages. It means taking rebirth again and again, not by our own choice, but under the influence of our mental afflictions and karma. Yeah. So mental afflictions, yeah. The chief one of that is ignorance. Yeah. And ignorance can be of two kinds. One kind doesn't understand karma. Another kind doesn't understand who we are and how we exist and how all phenomena exist. And so because of that ignorance, then we think me, yeah, because we generate an idea of who we are that is not who we really are. We think we're some like real person who just happens to be the most important one in the universe, right? Aren't you the most important one in the universe? Oh, you're finally admitting it. Yeah, but that really shows how you don't know anything, because I'm the most important one in the universe. You know? So this is the problem. Other people's afflictions, they get angry. Yeah, they exaggerate things. They don't tell the truth. They lie. They pretend to be people who they aren't. They're arrogant. They're lazy. They have no integrity. They're inconsiderate. Yeah? And so we go through our whole life blaming other people and wondering, why am I subjected to all this stuff when I don't want to be? I just want to be happy, and I'm a nice, sweet person. Aren't you all nice and sweet? Everybody in Reno? Yeah, I can see you're looking there, looking so I can see the little halos above your head. Yeah. So, yeah. And everybody who goes to the casinos in Reno that is are a source of, you know, your tourism, a source of your economy, they're all people who are so magnanimous. Yeah. Just they go and they win a lot of money and they keep it all for themselves. Isn't that kindness? Huh? Yeah. Anyway, no. Why is all this happening? Well, our mental afflictions and experiencing the result of the actions that we did in the past. And just getting born who we are is a result of those things, as well. And we will be reborn as in the future is likewise a result. Yeah. So and the thing is that when you're born in samsara, yeah, you don't necessarily have the optimum conditions to be free of samsara. Yeah. Like, wouldn't it be nice? Okay, you have the problem of being born again and again due to karma and afflictions, but shouldn't your life also contain all the antidotes to help you overcome those? Isn't that only fair? Well, in Buddhism, that's not the idea of fairness. Okay, fairness is the idea that we create causes and we experience the results. But our worldly idea of fairness means I should get everything that I want because I deserve everything. Why do I deserve it? Because I am me. And here, what we keep pointing out, what we keep going back to, is the self-grasping ignorance that thinks we are a solid, concrete, unique individual, and our self-centered thought that thinks that we are more important than others. Yeah. And those are rules of our universe. They're wrong rules, but we believe them anyway, don't we? Yeah, because as soon as we have this strong feeling of I, then there's a strong feeling for mine. What is going to make me happy? Yeah. Oh, I don't have enough hands to hold everything that makes me happy. Is that why Chenrezig has 1,000 arms? So he can hold everything that he wants, all the possessions he wants? No, that's not why. Okay. But we have this idea, we grasp it, I and mine, and then we have the idea, well, here's I and mine, and you are other. Yeah. So, of course, I'm more important. Yeah. And your job is to make me happy. And this is the problem in the world, that people don't realize that that is their job, to make me happy. Of course, I don't say that to them. They're supposed to know it through osmosis somehow. Yeah. And they should also know that I have the answer to all the problems in the world. So they should all follow my advice. Yeah? Your dog barks when I'm trying to sleep. You should stop your dog from barking. Okay? We had an interesting situation at the Abbey. The cat peed in somebody's shoes. Oh, terrible. Yeah? Yeah, it's the cat's fault. And whose cat is it? You need to teach your cat to pee in the kitty litter box. Well, as it turned out, why did that happen? Because the kitty litter box was dirty. But the person who was responsible for cleaning it said that they cleaned it. And then they poured new litter in. But then they realized that the new litter was actually old litter, that somebody else had put the old litter in the new litter bag with, and so that's why the poor cat, even when the litter was changed, wasn't getting a clean litter, I mean, isn't that a tragedy? And we couldn't figure it out. And then meanwhile, the person whose shoes were getting peed in was having a fit. So now you understand what monastics experience, the great suffering we have at a monastery. Okay. But the situation was found out, and we now put the old kitty litter in the right place. Okay. So it wasn't due to my advice, that one. Somebody else figured it out. Once in a while, other people can figure things out. But really, I know what is best for everybody. The US election, why do they need to have it? Yeah, I know who should be president. Yeah, and about 48% of the people agree with me until you have the next poll in which it all goes up and down and in and out. Yeah, you look horrified. Aren't you excited? We're having the debate on the 10th this next week. Yeah, Donnie and Kamala are going to have a big debate. Why didn't they put me up there? I could tell you. I know how the country should be run. Yeah, it's just, you should take care of other people. Yeah, and everybody should be responsible for taking care of other people. And just like Shantideva said, may people think of benefiting each other. So that's very simple. Yeah, why don't people do it? Oh, these sentient beings. Okay. Maybe we should go on. Okay, so we got through the first of the 7 points. The second one is called the main practice. And we're going to zoom through this one so we can get to the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th and start over again. Okay, so the main practice is generating the 2 bodhicittas. So one is the ultimate bodhicitta, which realizes the mode of existence of people and phenomena. And the second one is the conventional bodhicitta. So in the text, it says, having gained stability, that means learning the preliminary practices, being stable in those, then receive the secret teaching. So this teaching now is public, but it was not something that was spread widely before. Okay, so the first instruction there is consider all phenomena as a dream. Okay, so once we have stability in the preliminaries, then we need to really start to investigate how do things exist and who are we. Okay, so when it says see a phenomena as a dream, it does not mean that every person and everything is a dream object. It just means that just as things appear in a dream, but their appearances are false, yeah, that dream monster does not exist the way it appears. And the dream perfect partner also does not exist as they appear. Yeah. Okay. If we see them as a dream, then we don't make, we don't grasp so tightly at them. Yeah. If you had a nice dream last night, then for the rest of your life, do all you do is think about that dream? No, you forget about it. It was a dream. If there was a monster chasing you in your dream, do you live the rest of your life, afraid of that monster coming in real life? No, because you know that it's not real. Yeah, it appeared, yeah, but it wasn't real. And so similarly, um, everything that seems so solid around us, it appears very solid, but actually it is not so solid. It depends on causes and conditions. Yeah, it depends on other things. So we see things as very independent and self-enclosed, when in actual fact, everything is dependent on other phenomena that are not it. And this is really interesting, okay? Because when you have, let's say, chocolate cake, this is Lama Yeshe's, perfect example. Yeah, and we won't refute it being perfect because we all love chocolate cake, right? Okay, when we have a chocolate cake, it looks like one thing, and it looks like it has happiness in it, yeah, and that if we have to get it and put it in our mouth, and when we do, we experience happiness. Okay, it's one thing, but we need it, and it will make us happy. But yeah, what is the chocolate cake? Yeah, those of you who have cooked know, okay, there's butter or oil, there's sugar, there's cocoa powder, there is either baking powder or baking soda, maybe a little bit of salt, and then whatever else you want to put in your chocolate cake. Yeah, and you make, oh, and eggs, yeah, that makes the batter stick together, and so everything that composes a chocolate cake is not a chocolate cake. Yeah, are you getting what I'm saying? Yeah. Would any of the ingredients alone bring you the total, magnificent, irrefutable bliss of one bite of chocolate cake? Yeah. Yeah. A tablespoon of butter, then a tablespoon of flour. Yeah. First you have to eat the butter, then you take the flour when it's dry. Yeah. 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 Then you just have raw eggs. That's really yummy. Yeah. And a tablespoon of salt right in your mouth. Yeah. Some baking powder, baking soda. Yeah. That powder just, straight in. You're taking all the ingredients, but one by one. Yeah. And then the cocoa powder, the star ingredient, just unsweetened cocoa powder. Have you ever tasted unsweetened cocoa powder? Okay. So what is a chocolate cake? It's made of things that are not chocolate cakes. And it's made of a whole variety of different things. But when we look at it, it's one object, and we don't see that it's made of things that are not it. It seems like now that chocolate cake has its own identity of radiating out chocolate cake, happiness, eat me. Don't worry about the fat and the calories. You can lose weight later, you know. Yeah, when you get to 400 pounds, then go to a diet. Yeah? But in the meantime, enjoy your chocolate cake. I've got to have chocolate cake. Yeah? Okay? So that's, you see how we perceive chocolate cake is not really how it is. Yeah? It's made of things that are not chocolate cakes, that individually are yuck. Yeah? But you have to put them together in certain specific amounts and bake them for exactly the perfect time, not too not too short, because then it's just batter. You can't. It's not fluffy, and not too long, because then it's burnt. So this chocolate cake that seems to have its own reality, when we search for it, we can't find what that is. Okay? Similarly, we think there's me, but when we search for who me is, yeah, what do we find? Yeah, well, our body, sometimes we go, this body is me, me. What is your body? It's a sperm and an egg and all the food you've eaten. Great. Yeah, sound wonderful? Yeah. What's our mind? Oh, we don't even know where our mind is. It doesn't have color, it doesn't have shape. It has all these thoughts. And when we try and steer it in our mind in one direction, it has its own mind and it does what it wants to do and wanders all over the universe. Yeah. And each moment of it is different. We can't find our body, we can't find our mind either, let alone find who we are. Okay? It says, examine the nature of unborn awareness. So this is asking us to look at the nature of the mind and see that, we can't find some self-existent mind either. And then when it's the third line is the remedy itself is released in its own place. Okay, so understanding that things lack this false way of existence that we have projected on them, yeah, then we see that they are empty of all those false fantasized ways of existence. In particular, one way of existence that we project is that things have their own inherent nature. Yeah. And, realizing that things lack any kind of inherent nature that's the release. Yeah. That will eventually help us overcome ignorance. When ignorance disappears, then a craving, attachment, anger, jealousy, arrogance, all the afflictive emotions also disappear. Okay, the fourth line says, place your meditation on the nature of the foundation of all, the essence of the path. Okay, so this is a result of the previous points. And so the nature of all, or the nature of the foundation of all, that's referring to emptiness, the lack of inherent or self-existence. So place your mind on that. In other words, develop deep concentration, serenity, shamatha, so that you can focus your mind on that. Okay, so that talks about those lines talk about the meditation practice. The next line is in the break time how to practice, and it says in the meditation break, be a creator of illusion. In other words, see things as like illusions, see things as like dreams, And when we do, then things don't appear so concrete to us, yeah, and we have much more space in our mind to see things from different perspectives. Yeah. Okay, then the second part of the second point was generating conventional bodhicitta. So the first part was ultimate bodhicitta, the nature of the mind, the nature of the person, the deeper nature. Conventional bodhicitta is talking about, when we talk about conventions, we're talking about daily life kind of things, all the things that exist in the world that we interrelate with. Okay? So here it says, it is like a diamond, the sun, and the healing tree. Yeah. So here, conventional bodhicitta, which I'll define in a moment, is that precious, like a diamond, gives you wealth. The sun enables things to grow. The healing tree provides medicine for our ailments. Okay, so what is the conventional bodhicitta? Strictly speaking, it is the aspiration to attain full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings, and thus to be able to lead all sentient beings to freedom from samsara, this rebirth um, under the force of afflictions and karma, and to lead them to not only liberation, but the awakening of Buddhahood. Okay, so that's the bodhicitta, and it is so precious. Yeah, it's a diamond. It, you know, is the source of all of our internal happiness. When we have the conventional bodhicitta, then our own minds are happy. It's the sun, and it enables ourselves and others to grow and develop in a good way. And it's a healing tree. It fixes all of our ailments, whether they're physical ailments or mental ones. Okay, the next line in this section of generating conventional bodhicitta, it says, when the 5 degenerations flourish, transform them into the path to full awakening. Okay, so this is really important because we live in a time when there are 5 degenerations. Yeah, and and when we look around, this kind of applies to the situation we're born into, and thus so many of the problems that we encounter in our life. And bodhicitta can really be the cure to them, yeah, not by changing the external situation, but by our reformatting how we look at situations, yeah, and in that way transform them into the path to full awakening, which we'll get into. Okay, so the 5 degenerations. So first of all, the degeneration of the historical time that we have. Yeah, there's no lasting peace, there's war, famine, we now have climate change, we're using up our natural resources, and so on. Okay, so just it's a degenerate time worldwide. Okay, that's the second degeneration is in sentient beings, living beings. So if we look at human beings, yeah, people have really outrageous behavior now. Yeah, when you think of it, there was just a school shooting. A 14-year-old kid, shot up his school. Yeah, who gave him the weapon, his father. It was a Christmas present. Yeah? Isn't that, people are not thinking clearly. Yeah? Why do we need military weapons in a civilian society? Yeah. And why would you give a military weapon to a 14-year-old kid? Yeah. And why would that 14-year-old kid want to kill students and teachers at their school? You know, this is just one example. Yeah. Then when you look at everything else, Russia invading Ukraine, the Palestinians suffering. And what's making the Palestinians suffer? Well, the Israelis are fighting a war in retaliation, so they're bombing it. But Hamas, the government, of that area, hides under the earth and leaves the civilians on the surface so that they get killed when the bombs are dropped. Is that the kind of government you want that's supposed to protect the people? And is killing over 40,000 people uh, in reciprocation for, a tragedy that happened to your own people where 1,200 people were killed. What's going on? It's all crazy. Yeah. Um, yeah, climate change, where, sentient beings have crazy ideas like, oh, there's no climate change. Yeah. I mean, some of the people running for office are saying there's no climate change. It's okay. Yeah. We're at 93 today in September. Reno is probably even hotter. Yeah. So, sentient beings are now, in an effort to be happy, are doing things that bring more unhappiness to themselves and others. Okay, the third degeneration is the degeneration of views. So these are wrong philosophies, wrong psychologies, you know, uh, views that say, well, somebody harmed you, go harm them back. Yeah, don't talk to them, just harm them, and that'll make them stop. Of course, does harming somebody else in retaliation make them stop? No, it makes them angrier. They may stop temporarily because they're afraid of you, but then they retaliate later, okay? Because of the view that, if somebody harms me, I should harm them back. That's the way to resolve conflict. Yeah. Does that make any sense? I don't understand it, but that's how governments and most people operate today. Yeah. Um, and all sorts of wrong views. I mean, not believing in karma and its effects. So thinking as long as I can get away with it, that's okay. As long as I don't get busted, arrested, I can do what I want. Yeah, the only penalty is, if somebody tattletales on me or I leave some evidence behind. But whatever I can get away with, I'll do. That kind of view. And this is, people who are prominent people in society think this way. Yeah, whatever profit I can make, doesn't matter how much we pollute the environment, as long as I make more and more money. Yeah. Then the fourth degeneration is in afflictions. So our negative emotions are just getting stronger and stronger nowadays. And we're even having philosophies, that encourage us to have stronger and stronger afflictions. What is the biggest thing that sells anything? Sex. Okay? That is supposed to be the ultimate in bliss. Is it? Yeah. Lama Yeshe used to say, if it was so great, how come you need to keep doing it again and again and again? If it brings you everlasting happiness, why do why do you keep needing to do it? Okay, our anger is very gross now too. We're so sensitive. Identity politics, it's like, I belong to this group, I have this identity, you should treat me this way, and if you don't, I'm going to complain over every small thing that you do. And then we criticize everybody, but of course when they accuse us of doing the same things, we're innocent. Those people are exaggerating. But me, no, I can swear, I can call people names, I can do whatever I want. And if they take offense, that's their problem. But me, everybody should treat me according to my identity. And you got to use the right pronouns, and you've got to, cook the right kind of food and not cook other kind of food, because you can't take my culture, My goodness. We're so sensitive now. So very strong afflictions. Yeah, and then the fifth degeneration is lifespan. So yes, in one way, we're having longer lives now, but what I'm reading about is, people wanting assisted suicide. Because we can prolong life, but you wind up as a vegetable living a long time. Yeah. My cousin who just died, she lives in Nevada too. And she died at age 80. She had Alzheimer's for 11 years. Yeah. And her husband took care of her until like the very, about a year before she died. But she was totally out of it. Yeah. So in one way we have a long lifespan, but we have more diseases now too that afflict people, and more accidents. Yeah. We have bigger and better ways to kill each other too. Mm-hmm. Okay. So when the 5 degenerations flourish, transform them into the path to full awakening. Now comes the good part. Okay. Yeah. So there's, how do we transform them? Yeah. We take them into the path, so that they fuel our spiritual practice, they fuel our path to awakening. How do we take afflictions and misery into the path? Yeah. By the next line, it says, banish the one object of every blame. Okay, so in this text, there's one object of every blame, and that is our self-centered thought. Of course, it has a very good friend, which is called the self-grasping ignorance, but the previous point was the counteract to that. But this one, okay, banish the one object of every blame, our self-centered thought. Okay, now, what's wrong with being self-centered? Yeah? Everybody's self-centered. What's wrong with it? Shouldn't I look out for myself? If I don't look out for myself, who's going to look out for me? And there are all these dangerous things in life, so I've got to look out for myself first. And anyway, if I look out for other sentient beings, they never say thank you. They never give me a present in return. Yeah, they never talk to other people and tell them how kind I am, even when I do something for them. Okay, so our self-centered thought actually causes us a lot of problems, doesn't it? Look at what our self-centered thought just said. You want me to repeat it? Yeah, but that kind of attitude on life makes us so miserable. Yeah, how does it make us miserable? Well, first of all, everything related to me, I, my, and mine become the most important thing in the world. Okay, so I have to have exactly the food I like. Yeah, right? Don't you have to have exactly the food you like? Yeah. And what do? They serve the food you don't like. Yeah, you go out to eat at a restaurant. My goodness. Yeah, it's not cooked well enough. It's cooked too well. There's too much salt. There's not enough salt. What I'm getting at is under the influence of the self-centered thought, we want everything to be exactly the way we want it to be. And when it's not, we complain and we make other people unhappy. Yeah, because we're constantly going, why did you do this? You should have done that. Okay, and nothing seems to satisfy us. I just realized my robe is on upside down. But that's not my fault. It's the fault of the person who folded it last night. No, I was demonstrating last night how to fold it to somebody else so they did it right. And then they distracted me, and so I did it wrong. But it's their fault because they distracted me, right? Yeah? Everything is always somebody else's fault. And now, okay, now, do I look perfect again? Yeah? So our self-centered thought causes us so many problems because every little thing we discriminate. Is it in my favor and make me happy, or is it something that I don't like that makes me unhappy? Yeah. So everything is like this. Let me give you a really good example. So this one's of something a friend did. Not me. I wouldn't do this. Well, the thing of this story is my friend was pregnant, and I've never gotten pregnant. So, yeah, you want kids, and then you have, yeah, then you have kid hell, yeah. Yeah, like I always say, my mom said, just wait until you have kids, and then you'll understand what I went through. And I didn't have kids. Anyway, back to the point here. Well, that is the point, that of how self-centered we are. And everything pertains to self. So the story about my friend, she was pregnant and she was going to visit her sister in another state. And she was telling me, because she wasn't going to go until next week to visit her sister, who she hadn't seen in a while. So she was telling me, I just know that when I get off that plane, the first thing my sister is going to say to me is, you've put on weight, haven't you? you know, she's going to jab at me first thing about putting on weight. Well, of course, she's put on weight. She's pregnant. You're supposed to put on weight. But her sister's going to make it sound like something bad. And my friend was already getting mad at her sister because she was sure her sister was going to say that when she got off the plane. My friend hadn't even gotten on the plane yet. And she was already mad at her sister because she knows what her sister's going to say. Okay? It's a good example of how, and we don't even give people a fair chance. We are already projecting that they're going to criticize us. They're not going to do what we want. They're going to do something we don't like. Yeah, because we frame everything in the universe in terms of how it affects me. Yeah. So some people like to keep the environment very tidy. Other people don't. But I'm one of the tidy people. To a certain degree, some people are too tidy, and it drives me crazy. But the people who aren't tidy enough also drive me crazy. Yeah, what? They expect me to pick up after them? It looks like they do. But when I clean their desk and I throw all their rubbish in the garbage, then they're mad at me because I threw away all their important papers. Oh, yeah. Nobody appreciates me. Don't you all feel underappreciated? Couldn't you use more appreciation? How about some more love? How about some more praise? Yeah. But nowadays, nobody tells me they love me. Yeah? And if they did, I'd smack them. Yeah? Nobody says I love you. Even when I was married, he didn't say I love you, once every hour, once every minute. Didn't he realize that that's what he's supposed to do? Obviously not. Yeah. But that's not why we are no longer married. We're no longer married because I wanted to become a nun. Yeah. But he didn't like that. But well, he was okay with it. He was very tolerant of that. My parents weren't. Yeah. They said, "You're becoming a what?" And I tried to say, "I'm becoming somebody who wants to live an ethical life and benefit sentient beings." But that wasn't good enough because I wasn't doing what they wanted. Anyway, okay. But just look at how our self-centeredness, okay, it makes us so prickly, so sensitive to every small thing other people do. We're so easily offended. Yeah. We are also very proactive about getting what we want, and we don't care who we have to step on or step over or deny in order to get what we want. Yeah. If I can get more than my fair share, I'll take it. And look at the income inequality we have in this country. Yeah. If I can have more than other people, if I can have so much money that I don't even know what to do with it except to invest it and make more money, but then I complain about all these people who break into my house and steal my things. Yeah. Why do they do that? Well, it might have to do with them not having money. But I will not give them any of my money, and I won't advocate to be taxed even more so that the government can distribute resources more equitably. Yeah. And, if I can lie to get what I want, I'll lie. If I can cheat to get what I want, definitely. Yeah. Even when I go for job interviews, yeah, I present myself so well. Yeah. I know the job description. I know what they want me to do very well. I am an expert. Yeah. When they ask me for my experience doing that, I say a few words and then just, how those other places just weren't good enough for me to continue working at. And anyway, there was politics there, and that's why I left. Because these people didn't appreciate what I did. What I'm not doing is saying I didn't know what the heck I was doing and I got fired. Yeah. And if they, at the job interview, if they ask me if I can do something, I always say yes. Even if I don't know what the heck, what it is, I say yes. But I have to give myself a way out. I say, I'm familiar with it, and I'm a really fast learner. Okay, that is code for I don't know. Yeah, I'm a fast learner. Okay, and so if we look, the constant dissatisfaction that we experience in life in this country, we never have enough. We're never satisfied. We could use more material things. We could use more love. We could use more appreciation. We could use more people listening to our instructions and our advice. We could use, you know, so many things, and I'm entitled to it all. It doesn't matter if I step on your toes or cheat you, because I am I, and I can do what I want. Just don't get caught. Okay, so it says, banish the one object of many blame, of every blame. Okay, so what this is getting at is all of our unhappiness, when we trace it back, is involved with our self-centered thought and what we do under its influence, and the actions that we do that, even though we want happiness, lead us to do negative actions, which lead us to experience suffering. If not in this life, then in future lives. Okay? So this line of banish one object of every blame, meaning, do something about our self-centeredness. It does not mean we should hate ourselves for being self-centered, because that is just another wrong view. Okay, we tend to really be extremists. Either I'm so wonderful, I deserve everything, or I'm so self-centered, I'm so terrible, no wonder people don't like me, everything is my fault, oh, woe is me. Okay. No, this is not what the Buddha was trying to get at when he talks about the disadvantages of self-centeredness. What his point is that when we look at our own life and look at what causes our misery, our self-centeredness is a main factor in that. And so rather than point the finger at other living beings, who have also been kind to us, who we depend on to stay alive, rather than blaming others, when we understand karma, put the blame on the self-centered thought. Okay, now to do this, we have to recognize that our self-centered thought is not who we are. Yeah. Why do we get into self-hatred and feeling guilty about self-centeredness? It's because we think that we are our self-centeredness, but we aren't. Okay? It is one part of the mind, but it is not all of our mind. And it's a part of our mind that is based on wrong conception. Yeah. So it can be eliminated. It is possible, contrary to what most evolutionary biologists say, it is possible to overcome our self-centeredness. Okay. So we shouldn't just say, I'm hardwired to be self-centered. No, we have a whole long beginningless history of being self-centered, and it comes up very naturally. But it doesn't mean that it is who we are and we have to continue being self-centered. No, we can apply the antidotes to the self-centeredness. So the antidotes starts with the next line. Meditate on the great kindness of all. Understand the kindness that is all around us and the kindness of all sentient beings. Yeah. Then we want to repay that kindness. And we realize that our self-centered thought is the opposite of repaying kindness. Yeah. And that our self-centered thought, why don't we feel we have enough love and appreciation and understanding? It's because of our self-centered thought. It always wants more and better, more and better, more and better. Okay? If we think about the kindness of living beings, it's, I don't know about you, but this was something that changed me in a very, very major, important way. Yeah? So this meditation on the great kindness of all is really, really important. So meditating on the kindness of friends, and family, by and large, that's pretty easy, because what's the first criteria of a friend? Somebody who likes me, who agrees with my ideas, who I can have fun with, yeah, who helps me when I need help, who encourages me when I feel down. Yeah, so seeing the kindness of our friends is not difficult. Yeah, yeah. So we start with that, but then move on to the kindness of strangers. Because sometimes if we meditate too much on the kindness of friends, instead of appreciating their kindness, we begin to have attachment for them. And attachment exaggerates their kindness, develops many unrealistic expectations of others, and brings a lot of problems. Okay. But if we look in our lives, the people who are strangers, my goodness, they've been kind to us. Yeah. We're all sitting in buildings right now. Do we know the people who built those buildings? Do we know the architect who designed them? Actually, we know who built, you know, our architect. We know the contractor. Yeah, we may not know all the workers who came. Yeah. We certainly don't know the people who made the carpet, yeah, or who made the drywall, or who set the blocks, or who made the concrete, or who worked in mines to get the metal that, you know, some of the supports for the building are made out of. Yeah. Do we know all the people involved in our having food today? Yeah, the people who grew the food, the people who harvested it, who transported it, who processed it, who packaged it, who brought it to the, transported it to the grocery store, who bought it, who cooked it. When we look, my goodness, so many sentient beings, most of whom we don't know, are involved in are eating 1 grain of rice. Yeah. Then when you add to that, uh, many grains of rice, or you add to that some vegetables, you add some fruit, you add some sauce of some kind, yeah, and spices. And if we could trace back all of those things, where they came from, it's really mind-boggling how many living beings were involved in our having lunch. Yeah. And then, we drive on roads. Who made the roads? Who made the asphalt? How do you even make asphalt? Yeah, what are the ingredients to asphalt? And who made the asphalt mixer? And who planned the road? And who painted the lines so that you know where your lane is? And who made the signs? And what time of day did they build the roads? When it was convenient for me? Oh no. They built the roads right in the middle of the day when I want to drive on them. They should build the roads at 2 a.m, when I'm home sleeping. Yeah, I don't care if they have to get up in the middle of the night and work in the cold and the rain. That benefits me. I don't like to have to wait when they're doing road work. Okay? Look at the amount of kindness we experience from others and how we turn around and bad rap those people instead of appreciating the kindness. Yeah. Okay. And then actually, even the people that threaten us, who we don't like, people we call enemies, they're also kind to us in the sense that they point out things that we're sensitive to. They point out our wrong expectations. They point out our selfishness. Yeah. Of course, we don't like when they do that. But if we are sincere Dharma practitioners, we love those people because they help us so much by pointing out to us, what we need to work on in our Dharma practice. Yeah. If it isn't for the people who push our buttons and make us aware of our expectations and our sensitivities, how would we ever, overcome these things and develop equanimity? Yeah, we need those people who harm us. So we hear that the bodhisattvas, those great beings who aspire for full awakening to benefit all sentient beings, we hear that when somebody asks them for something, they're happy. When a beggar comes and says, "Give me something," they're happy. When somebody else says, "Oh, I really need your help, can you come and help me?" Yeah, the bodhisattvas are happy. Yeah. When they work together with other people on a project, they give the credit to the other people instead of saying, it's all because of me. Yeah. So, if bodhisattvas are much closer to full awakening than we are, and they appreciate troublesome sentient beings because they see that those people give them the opportunity to practice patience, to practice generosity, to practice ethical conduct, to practice fortitude, yeah, to generate love and compassion, yeah. When they see the kindness of those people for giving them the opportunity to practice and showing them what to practice, when the bodhisattvas see that, they love those people. So if we want to be bodhisattvas, we have to really appreciate also those people who harm us, who don't listen to us, who don't follow our advice and do the very opposite. Because why should people follow all of my advice? Yeah, the reason the self-centeredness gives is because that's what I want. Is that a good reason? If everybody's saying everybody should follow my advice because that's what I want and everybody wants different things, why is what I want more important than anybody else's? Especially when I rely on all these other sentient beings to have the food that I eat, to have shelter, to have clothing, to have medicine, to have an education, to have every kind of object that, interests me. It all comes from other beings. Yeah. So who am I to say that I'm more important than them? In actual fact, I'm in debt to other sentient beings. Yeah, because they've just been incredibly kind to me my entire life when I really think about it. But how have I acted in response? I act like a complaining little child. I want this. You should be doing what I want and give me what I want. And if you don't, I'm going to cry. And if I don't cry, I'm going to hit you. And I'm going to tell bad people, other people, how mean you are. Look what the self-centered thought does. To retaliate against people who benefit us because we can't stay alive without all these other living beings. Yeah. So we see, when we really think deeply about it, we see we need to do some major reformatting of our mental hard disk, because it has some serious blunders in it. Yeah, thinking everybody else is mean, I'm more important. Yeah, no, everybody else is kind. Yeah, and when I see their kindness, then I want to reciprocate. When I want to reciprocate, my own heart is happy. When I don't want to reciprocate and I just want to look out for myself, I'm miserable. Isn't that interesting? And when I do reciprocate kindness, yeah, then other people are happy. Then I live with happy people. Okay. So this meditation on the kindness of all others is very important, as is the meditation on the defects of our self-centeredness. And with that, we're going to stop for the day, and then we will resume tomorrow. But, for the rest of the day, think about what you heard, and really think deeply about this, especially the kindness of others and the faults of the self-centeredness. And keep remembering the self-centeredness is not an intrinsic part of me. It's something extra added on that we can get rid of.